and welcome to Not the Podcast. Today we're doing a bonus episode while Ariana is out, laid flat from her COVID-19 booster shot. Everyone get vaccinated. So today I am here with Karen of Karen Plays Nancy Drew to talk Speedathon. So Karen, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Karen, and I kind of got into the Nancy Drew fandom, on Tumblr, on Karen Plays Nancy Drew, way back in the day. And I think I haven't really been active on Tumblr in a while, but I have in, Discord and other communities, including the Speedathon and, the speedrunning community in general. And I feel like, speedrunning I got into not too long ago. It's kind of, reignited some things that I can do with Nancy Drew because I've been a fan for so long. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, quick question. Before we get into the thing, what was your first Nancy Drew game you played?
It was Danger on Deception Island. That's still my favorite game because it, you imprint on your favorite first game.
Oh, yeah, totally. And Danger on Deception Island is, of course, a fantastic game, just in general as well. So, okay, so we're talking speedrunning today, and Ariana did come up with some questions to talk about, which are fun. Because the great thing is that Ariana has never speedrun before in her life, so she's not hip with the kids. I've speedrun a couple things, and Karen is a verifier on the speedrun.net.com.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The Nancy Drew series?
Yeah, I'm not... So, speedrun.com, the Nancy Drew community is pretty small, but there are a couple, mods, and I'm, the step below being, an actual moderator. I'm a verifier, so essentially I have the power to see all the runs that people submit, and then I actually verify their times, and then can put them on the boards.
Nice.
Yeah, so they trust me. I'm legit.
Nice. She's got the credentials. So let's just start out with, for the people who've never heard of this before, which some of our listeners actually don't do much gaming outside of Nancy Drew, so what is speedrunning?
So speedrunning, just as a concept, is essentially playing a video game as fast as possible. So people speedrun so many different games, but you start the game, you beat it as fast as possible, and then that is your time. And so there's leaderboards. Whoever can do it the fastest gets an award. Your award is just being the best.
Yeah, your award is the clout of being the best, just pretty much. Ariana's amazing question here is, why speedrun?
It's a great question.
My answer is because it's fun.
It is fun. It's like I said, it's kind of, for me, it was a way to kind of do something new with the games because I've literally played them just for fun so many times. And then I realized people were speedrunning them, and I was like, okay, I know these games so well. This is a new way to approach them. So that's kind of fun for me. I wouldn't say I'm super into speedrunning just in general as a concept. But I guess it's very satisfying if you do it well.
It is, yeah. It's, not that I do it well, but it is fun. Especially like you said, as a way to interact with the games in a different way. Because, if you guys have been watching our streams on Twitch, Ariana and I streamed all of the games. And then we kind of got to the end of them and we were like, okay, what else? So we started doing them all on Senior Detective and then 100%ing them. And now it's those are all different ways of interacting with the games in a new way. So it's not just playing the same game over and over again. And speedrunning is another way to do that. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of fun. It's fun for the whole family. Everyone should, learn all about it and do it with us.
It really is fun for the whole family. The time I did a 100% run of Warnings at Waverly Academy, and you have to get the fastest time on the card matching game on the computer. And you have to do it at the very end, otherwise Izzy will beat your time again. So I had just done an 100% run of the whole game. I got to the end, I did the matching game, and I was at 1 second underneath the time I was supposed to be. And then I had a little bit of a meltdown, and I screamed at my brother, and I said, do it for me! And then he did it for me, because I could not do it again. So that was how it's fun for the whole family.
It is. Yeah, I love it. And I would make Ariana do it too. Especially all of the ones. Haunting of Castle Malloy is full of puzzles that I cannot do and Ariana can. So I'd be, she's in chat right now. I'd be like, Ariana, you do this. And then she'd do it. Double team speedruns should be more of a thing.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, we kind of do that a little bit in the Speedathon. We let people kind of work together.
Yeah. We do, which is fun. Which is something that, like, I see it, like, GDQ, which is Games Done Quick, which is a big, they do it twice a year. It's a big charity event. And they run all sorts of games, which I have actually thought about submitting a Nancy Drew game to try and do it. Like, wouldn't that be fun?
That would be very fun.
To do a Nancy Drew game at GDQ. But they will have sometimes people on their couch, which is like their co-hosts and stuff, will like help them remember things and stuff like that. So it's all kosher in the speedrunning like community. Just fun. So the question then next is, how do you speedrun the Nancy Drew games?
This is a great question. So personally, I would say I tackle it differently than other people, because for me, I find it a lot more fun to like route the games myself and figure out how to speedrun them and like try to develop my own strategies. But that's honestly not how most people do it, and it's totally fine if you're not interested in doing that. The speedrunning Discord server that is kind of like the hub of the Nancy Drew speedrunning community, they have routes for all the games, so it's essentially like a Google Doc, and it tells you exactly what to do. And so if you just want to try speedrunning, you can just go there, get one of the routes, and then follow it and just do the run. So you essentially start the game, do everything that it tells you on the list as fast as you can, and then you have done it. But there's always, like, people are always discovering, like, new strategies and, like, different ways that you can do things. So I find that really fun to tackle a game without even knowing how, like, people are supposed to speedrun it, and see if I can, like, just figure it out on my own or, like, organically. But yeah. Then once I figure it out and route it, I'm not as much into the grind, because the other part of speedrunning is just literally, you have to do it. You have to practice it over and over and over again until you're good at it. That's just how you have to do it.
Yeah. That takes work.
Yeah.
Which is, I highly respect anyone who can focus on something for that long. I cannot. And that's why the only games I have speedrun in the Nancy Drew community are ones that are half an hour or less.
Yeah, that's fair.
My brain just says, no, I'm just going to turn off at the half hour mark. Yeah. Which is fine. Which is fun. One thing is that I think it's really interesting in the way that different people come at the games differently when they are speedrunning them. So, like, the fact that you're coming into it, like, completely with a blank canvas so you can organically find things. What I like to do, what I have done is looked at people's guides and then gone in and literally optimized clicks. Just literally thinking about, when I was doing the Midnight in Salem route, I literally took what Arglefumf had done, because he was the first one to do a speedrun of it. I took what he did, and then I literally, like, measured out how many clicks it took me to get to each place, and, like...
Yeah, I mean, that's, like, necessary work, because, like, the thing about speedrunning is you literally are just trying to shave off any possible second you can. And once it gets down to, like, an optimized run, which... I mean, a lot of the Nancy Drew games are considered non-optimized. A lot of them are considered optimized, but I'm always like, there's always something that we can figure out. Yeah. A new trick or something like that we can figure out. Like, one of the most amazing things that I love about speedrunning these games is that you can literally skip the intro, like, letter that Nancy does if you click on the right spot on the screen. And that's fantastic, because as a casual player, you wouldn't know that.
So I think it's fun. Even if you aren't speedrunning and you're like, God, I've listened to this letter so many times, just click in the upper left. You know? You do it. Ariana asked for resources for speed times and such. So that would be speedrun.com, right?
Yeah, speedrun.com. I think that there's... Let me look at my bookmarks. So speedrun.com/Nancy_Drew. That's going to bring you to the hub for the entire series, and it'll list every single Nancy Drew game. And then you can click on each game individually and pull them up. And it'll have the list of who has run it, all the different categories, what the rules are, because you can hit the button that says View Rules. That's important.
Yes.
And basically has all the information you need.
Yeah. The rules are often things like specifically saying what is start and what is end times, because the games are generally, you start when you click the difficulty. Mm-hmm. So that's when the timer starts. And then the game ends, you hit end when the end letter starts playing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not all the games have an end letter. So then it's just kind of like when it like fades to black and then cuts to the like credit or outro.
Yeah. Yeah, or trivia section, basically. Though in 100% runs, you have to do the trivia, and you don't hit end time until it gives you all of the awards.
Yes.
Which I think is fun.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite part about speedrunning the Nancy Drew games?
I would say that, honestly, like, the most fun is that, like, a bunch of people are doing it. So, like, when you do, like, figure something out or you do a good run, like, you have people to share it with, and then there's, like, a speedrun community that thinks it's awesome. And it's just, like, kind of, it's like it is a solo thing that you're doing, but it is within a collaborative community. So there's, like, collaborative effort going into everything that you do because, like I said, like, you're always trying to figure out new strategies, and everybody shares what they've found. So then you can all incorporate everything that you're doing and, like, improve each other's runs and stuff.
Yeah, it really is, like, it is a huge community in such a way that's, like, way more interactive than most other aspects of the community, like the Nancy Drew community are. I feel like there's a lot of, like, actually sharing. Like, the guides are all on the website as well as in the Discord. Almost all of the games, if you click, there's, like, a tab that says guides, and you can just look at what someone else has done, and you can, like, copy that Google document and make one for yourself and kind of elaborate on it. And it's awesome that everyone just shares these resources with each other, instead of it being, like, a competitive thing. Like, there's a little bit of competition, but in a very friendly way of, like, egging each other on.
Yeah, like, it's competitive because, like, there's a leaderboard, and, like, people want to be, like, number one and beat each other's times, but nobody is, like, meanly competitive. Like, everybody's, like, happy anytime a person gets, like, a good score, like, a good run.
Yeah. It's not like, no, I'm not going to share my strats with you. Everyone has to, I have to be better.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the community do that.
No, I mean, well, also, it would be pretty hard because, like, you have to see the run, you record it. So, like, if you're doing something, everybody's going to know.
Yeah. Pretty much. Which is, it's fun, though. By contrast, what about the games gets really annoying when you're trying to speed?
So, I mean, I think everybody will agree that, like, you listen to the same dialogue over and over and over again, and it's just, like, you memorize it to the point where it's like, I do not want to listen to this monologue ever again. So then aspects of the game become annoying to you, which is never the goal with a series that you love. When I speedrun, even when I'm just practicing and learning the game, like, I just turn the voices completely off so I don't have to hear them, because then I don't get sick of them very quickly at all. So I'll, like, listen to music, or I'll listen to, like, a podcast or an audiobook or something like that, so I don't have, like, the getting sick of the dialogue issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not fun. And
yeah, I feel like that, dialogue to me is the most irritating part of it because, you know, in the first, 25 games, you can't skip dialogue.
Yes.
So it literally is just that you have to sit there and listen to Holt Scotto say the same fucking thing over and over again.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that, honestly, I'm a little bit more tolerant of it than a lot of people in the speedrunning community because I kind of like having the break and just being like, okay, it's a conversation. I can chill, so I don't have to, think about it as much. So I kind of like having that break. But there are games where it's just, way, way too much dialogue. And especially when it's, they just, the characters in these games are they're characters. And so their dialogue is very distinctive and it's great. And I love that about the series. But then there are other times where it's just so grating because it just gets in your head.
Yeah.
And I would say that's something that's kind of a pro and then a con at the same time is you learn the game so well that if you at least don't take enough of a break from it, you'll play a game casually and just know how to solve a puzzle. And you want to be able to do the puzzle again, but you can't because you just have the solution memorized. But then at the same time, it's kind of fun to go back and play a game casually that you've speedrun because obviously speedrunning, you do it as fast as possible. So you cut so much out, any unnecessary puzzle, any unnecessary dialogue, you're not getting that. And so it's kind of fun to go back and play a game casually when you've done a bunch of speedrunning and be like, oh, I didn't even remember this puzzle existed because it's not necessary to beat the game. So you can find stuff and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's a whole subplot here that I just forgot about because it's not part of the main speedrun.
Yeah, there are so many optional things. In Warnings at Waverly Academy, if you don't look at your texts, there's just whole portions of the game that just don't exist.
Yeah, that speedrun, you intentionally do not look at your phone because it triggers a bunch of subplots.
Yeah, another thing that it's really funny is I didn't realize that some of the stuff in Shadow Ranch was skippable because I've never skipped it. And so the fact that someone in chat was like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, I accidentally skipped this. And I was like, you did what? And then I was like, yeah, that's just part of the speed run. And I'm like, you don't have to do the bead puzzle?
I know. Yeah. Just full puzzles that it's you don't actually have to do it. It's really weird. And that's another thing that I find fun about the games is just the triggers are so weirdly specific and it's really fun to just kind of play around with it and learn what the developers were doing, being you have to hear this person say this exact line and then you can go to the next day.
Yep. Yeah. But then there are things that you don't have to know it all. And that's my favorite one is when Nancy just is able to know something happened without actually having to do the thing to trigger the next event.
Yeah. I mean, there are games... I can think of two off the top of my head, and I think there's probably more. There are speedruns where you literally do not ever speak to the culprit until the culprit reveal at the end. And then it's it was this person, and you've never ever seen this person in your life because you just don't need to beat the game.
Yeah. Good.
Why?
I think that makes Icicle Creek a much better game. Just in my opinion. Good to know, for a casual run.
Do you have to find out if people like paprika? Yes. Do you have to speak to the culprit? No.
No. Fantastic. How does someone get started with speedrunning the games? Or which games are best to start with?
I would say that the best speedrun to start with is probably Secrets Can Kill Remastered.
100% agree.
Yeah, because it's short. It's 10 to 15 minutes long, depending on how fast you are. And it's just it's not a super difficult one. But it does kind of have all the elements of you have to run around and do different navigation. You have a couple puzzles where it's going to be beneficial to memorize it, which is another thing with speedrunning is that, of course, you can have a guide, but there are just aspects of them that is never going to be fast enough if you use a guide, so it's going to be better if you memorize it. So there's like one big puzzle where it's like really, really good if you can memorize it, so that's like good practice. There's only like, there's one moment of RNG, which is literally how many phone call rings that you get, and that's at the beginning of the run. So it's like, if you want to put in the effort and grind for good RNG, you can do that, but it's easy to do it in that game. Yeah.
Because it's right at the beginning. So if it's like, oh, you got really bad ring RNG, just restart the run.
Yeah.
You know? That's one of those things, is if it's something at the beginning of the game, that makes it so much easier. Because if it's something like at the end of the game, you're like, okay, well,
yeah. Unlike, like Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon, where it's like an hour of dialogue that you've just sat through, and then you do the horse racing, which is RNG, and it's like, oh, your horse lost? Goodbye to that run.
Sucks to be you. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, I would agree with Secrets Can Kill Remastered. Another one that's actually pretty easy, and you know that it's easy because I've done it, is actually Tomb of the Lost Queen. Mm-hmm. Because there's not really any RNG in that game. It's all pretty much cut and dry, and I love that. And there are whole storylines you don't have to deal with. Love that.
That game is a really fun speedrun in terms of, like, you do everything out of order. You do, like, nothing that's, like, important to the plot. It's just, like, you're like, whoa. This is not at all the game I played.
It really is a fun way to look at the game in a different way. And also, in my opinion, memorizing some of those puzzles makes the casual, like, run so much more enjoyable for me. Because some of those puzzles, it's so much easier to have them memorized, and I can enjoy everything else in the game. That's just me. What is your favorite game to run?
Like, I have to say Warnings at Waverly Academy. That's just, like, the run that I think I associate with myself. I've definitely done it the most. Because I think that was the game that I ran for the first Speedathon, and so that's when I really got into it. And so I was, like, we were so hyped for the, like, first Speedathon that I, like, put in so much effort routing that game and, like, making sure it was good. And then I got really into it, and I did it on Junior, I did it on Senior, I did the 100% run on Junior, I did the 100% run on Senior. I had all the records for those at one point, and then Yandava beat me on Junior, which I will get back. But yeah, that's definitely just the game that I've run the most, and I really, really do enjoy that run.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really fun run to watch. It's too long for me, because my attention span is so short.
Yeah, it's like just under an hour.
Yeah, that's that place. I'm like, once you hit an hour, I'm done. I'm gone.
Yeah, the the air hockey in that game adds a level of just drama to the run, which I think is fun. I actually really like the puzzle where you put all the map pieces back with the United States map.
Oh, yeah.
Which is another one where it's like, it's not easy to just, like, put a guide together and do it. Like, you really have to practice that. Yeah. That one also has the very difficult tree climbing puzzle.
Yeah, it does. What was your strategy for that tree climbing puzzle?
My strategy, just, covering my screen with my oily paper. It was so important. Listen, we make fun of my oily paper, but it's not oily. I just used oil to make it transparent, because paper becomes transparent when you, like, put oil on it. Then I dabbed it off. And then I wrote the answers to the puzzle on the paper, and so I put it, like, over my screen and just followed it. That's another, I think, strategy for the games where you skip dialogue. I just stick a little piece of paper where the dialogue skip is, so you can always just bring your mouse there whenever there's any conversation and just skip.
I feel like it would also be a good... Is it easier to do the darkroom puzzle in Danger by Design, or is it easier to just do the flushing trick?
I'm not sure. I have not run that game. I would assume that the flushing is faster because that is a puzzle that is timed. Like, you have to stick the things in the whatever, the fluid for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or whatever. So I assume that flushing is faster. Yeah.
Probably. But if not, I feel like oily paper would work.
It would.
It would. I mean, that's what we used to just use Post-its when we would...
I do that when I am playing it casually.
Because otherwise I'm like, no. What is your favorite category to run? I know you've done a lot of 100%.
Oh, yeah. I haven't done a ton of those. I mean, so the different categories are, like, the difficulty levels. So you can do junior detective or senior detective. Any percent is just, like, the game. You know, just start to finish. Yeah. It's the regular game. 100% is when you do 100% of the game. With all the awards, there's the, like, fun miscellaneous categories of, like, death percent, which is just fastest way to make Nancy die. And, like... Which,
we all routed for the last Speedathon.
Yeah. Those I find stressful because they're so short that it's like literally every little thing that you do has to be perfect, otherwise you've just completely botched it. I mean, I feel like any percent just on junior detective is by far the most popular category for any game. So that's gonna be, I think, probably the most fun in terms of just the most people have done it, so there's the most information about it, so you can just, like, really, really get into the nitty-gritty, like, routing on those ones. And then also just, there's more competition, so you know, there's a lot more that you can, like, strive for with those runs.
Yeah. I think that's fun. For me, I really enjoyed Death Percent, because it was fun to route things in a way that my brain could actually pay attention to. So that, to me, that's really fun. I love figuring out how to kill Nancy. It's just, you know, the best thing to do in the games.
Yeah, people have really gotten into those too, because I think also actually that's like a way that a lot of people have found speedrunning to be more accessible, because they're like, I can do 2 minutes where I kill Nancy.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. And then there are, in a couple of the games, there are glitchless categories, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know that in Stay Tuned for Danger, there is a glitch, and then there's a glitchless version.
Yeah, so in general, like, glitches are allowed to be running when it's things that, like, it's just a glitch that's part of the game. Like, anybody who owns the game has access to these glitches, such as, like, in... well, you guys just, like, learned that recently, but I cannot believe you had not been playing Secret of Shadow Ranch without the phone glitch, where if you're out in Dry Creek where you don't have service, you just click on, like, the web category, and then you go back to your contacts, and suddenly Nancy can use the phone. She has service in Dry Creek. So that's just, like, a glitch that exists in the game, and anybody has access to it and can do it. Some of the earlier games...
Think of all of the years I spent being like, okay, Bob, let's go back.
Poor Bob. Yeah, but the earlier games are so glitchy that there's kind of separate categories for them, because it's just, like, actually absurd. Like, Stay Tuned for Danger and the original Secrets Can Kill basically have glitches where you can just go into other saved games, take the items, and bring them back into your original saved game, which is just, like, it's a lot. So those are kind of their own category, because it like, drastically changes the run. It's,
My favorite one is in Midnight in Salem. If you keep your game open after you have, in another save, completed the CCTV puzzle, then when you start a new game, it'll just, the flag for it being done is still true.
Yep.
As long as you don't close the game.
Yeah, that's a weird one. What are some other good glitches that save time? I mean, the later games have the phone glitch.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, while Nancy has like an unskippable line of dialogue, you just open Nancy's phone and she's like, can't use my phone here, and it cancels out the dialogue that she's saying. So that's a big one in like a couple games. I know Shattered Medallion, and I think a couple more. I think you can do it in
Tomb of the Lost Queen.
Yeah.
You can do it a couple times.
Oh yeah, she
sometimes it's not faster.
In the tomb.
Yeah. Yeah. So when she's like, yeah, now can I open this? I'm like, Nancy, please.
Yeah.
Check your phone. It's fine. I'm sorry. There's a new glitch in Icicle Creek that Galen just found with the form already being filled out. Wow.
Oh, yeah. I remember that happening, but we couldn't... At the time, I did not hear details about like why or how it happened. It just did happen. So I don't know if that's been fully like fleshed out yet.
Okay, well, stay tuned for in the speedrunning Discord to find out.
Yeah.
Which I'm obviously going to link that Discord in the description.
Yeah. White Wolf of Icicle Creek also has a unique glitch where if you open the task list and you click on something on the task list while Nancy is talking to somebody, it'll just like say the thing on her task list instead of her own dialogue. So, like, she's talking to Bill, and Bill's like, oh, did you catch that fish? And Nancy's about to go on a rant about fishing, and you just go, check, and then it just moves on to the next thing in the conversation.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, none of the other games have that. They just, I don't know, they just really messed up on White Wolf of Icicle Creek.
It's because White Wolf of Icicle Creek is so weird, because it's the first game that switched to the new UI, but it also doesn't technically have a windowed mode, despite being in the new UI. So you can, however, go, and this is the hack for streamers, you can go into the file itself and just be like, windowed mode 1, and then it's windowed when you open it up next.
Wow.
Which is so much better than DXWND.
Yeah, not a fan of that.
No, it's necessary if you are a streamer, but otherwise, I hate it. I hate its guts.
Yeah, a lot of people will use that for speedrunning too, because you don't need to stream to be a speedrunner, but you do need to record your run.
Yeah.
But I do not use that. I just do full capture of my like screen and then just like adjust it in OBS.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually like some of the things are way faster to do them not in windowed mode. Like in Message in a Haunted Mansion, doing the speedrun in windowed mode is harder because of how many things are like you have to click on a specific pixel, and when the screen is large, it's easier to hit the pixel, but if the screen is small, you're more likely to misclick. And it's also just...
When I was like first starting out like speedrunning, I was like, oh, I bet if I do windowed mode, it'll be faster because it's like a shorter distance between all the things I have to click on. It's like, it just like doesn't work out that way because your brain is used to the full thing and you just like, you want to zoom exactly how it's like intended to be played.
Yeah. And it also just makes that parquet puzzle just impossible. Just literally impossible. Hate it so much. But what are the most satisfying strats that you use? For me, it's honestly just doing things like the being able to skip dialogue by clicking the phone. Love that.
I think for me, it's when I'm able to do two things at once. That gives me a lot of satisfaction. What is the satisfaction? Satisfaction. That gives me a lot of satisfaction. When I'm like, oh, like Nancy has to like solve this puzzle in her inventory, I can pull it up during a cutscene and just do it then. That's, like, something I, like, do in Warnings at Waverly Academy when you go and you have to look at Mel's tapestry in her room and have her tell you about it, but you just pull up the DNA puzzle, just solve it while Mel's talking. Shadow at the Water's Edge has a ton of those because you need to do all the Sudokus and, like, the nonograms and stuff, so it's like, oh, Nancy's being haunted? Let me just whip up this renogram and just finish it up here. It's fine. Yeah, those are definitely my favorite.
Yeah, that one is actually, like, in Tomb of the Lost Queen, as you guys might have noticed, that Tomb of the Lost Queen is one of the few ones I've actually done, so that's why I'm talking about it so much. But in Tomb of the Lost Queen, you can pull up the, like, the word scramble stuff that you have to do. And
while you're playing Senate, right?
While you're playing Senate, but you have to specifically exit out before a specific line gets said, otherwise it crashes your game.
Yeah. The games are perfectly made, no flaws, 10 out of 10.
Exactly. None at all. It's beautiful. So let's talk about the Speedathon, though. Let's talk. What is the Nancy Drew Speedathon?
Yeah, we've name dropped it so much, and I would assume people know what it is, but it's actually entirely possible that a lot of people don't. So, yeah. I don't know. Do you want to explain it?
Yeah. The Nancy Drew Speedathon is a speedrunning event where we speedrun the Nancy Drew games for charity. So it is a 2-day event. We do it every 9 months. Not sure why we chose 9 months, but we did.
Well, I can tell you why, because we were like, if we do it every year, that just feels too long. But then we were like, if we do it every 6 months, the burnout is going to be awful. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why we did 9 months. Yeah.
So 9 months. And this time we are raising money for the ACLU Protect Trans Youth campaign. And we're very excited about it. It takes place over 2 days. The days are from, noon to 9, basically.
About.
Eastern time. So it's, we have, how many runners do we have this time?
We have, I think last time we had 16 and this time we have 17.
Okay, 17. Yeah, that makes sense. So we have it's a pretty good amount of people. We go from game to game, and each runner has a co-host to talk about things as well. Everyone has donation incentives for their own runs. So at our last Speedathon, November of 2021, the most notable one being Sarah Kosk's amazing Shadow Ranch run, where she did things like for a certain amount of donations, she put on a horse face, horse mask, stuff like that.
A horse mask. She stacked cowboy hats on her head, and then she also ran with cowboy boots on her hands.
Yeah. That's the kind of amazing things that our runners come up with, while still trying to go as quickly as possible. Yeah. So when is the Speedathon this time?
So the upcoming Speedathon is July now, so it's this month. Oh my goodness. It can't be this soon.
I know, right?
It's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's on the 16th and 17th. Oh, the panic is getting me real bad right now.
Don't panic. It's okay. We're okay. So it is going to be July 16th and 17th. Like I said, from noon to about 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you guys would love to follow it and everything, you can find it at Nancy Drew Speedathon on Twitch and ND Speedathon on our Twitter and Instagram. But what do we do? You and me. What do we do for the Speedathon?
We make it happen.
We do. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, other people, like Carol and Veronica and Yandema are also, like, helping out with admin stuff, but, like, there's a ton of people also help out with like doing like mod in the chat and helping out with social media, and so there's a lot of people who just basically dedicate their time to doing it because we're basically doing it for fun and for charity. But we, you know, make all the administrative decisions and do all the planning and make sure everything is happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's open to everyone to run. So it has nothing to do with like, oh, who are the best speedrunners? We're going to choose them. Not at all. It's like actually the opposite. Like we want people who have never done speedruns before to do it because the speedrunning community for Nancy Drew like is small and we want to make it bigger.
We do. We want to make it more accessible too. And I know we have specifically, when we are making the schedule and choosing runs and stuff like that, we do give priority to people who have never been in the event before. So people who are new to that community, we want to get in there. And we also like to try and reach out to marginalized genders. So the speedrunning community at large, not the Nancy Drew one, but in general, speedrunning, it tends to be a like male-dominated community. Which is changing, thankfully, but something in the Nancy Drew community is we're really trying to get that to, we're trying to reach out to the people who are less likely to have heard of speedrunning in general, and try and get them involved in it, because the more people who do it, the more fun.
Yeah, it's very true. And I mean, that is like true of like to an extent of the Nancy Drew community as well. Like, you know this, and like, I don't say this like to be like, wow, I hate these people, because like the mods for the Nancy Drew community, I'm friends with them. We're good. I love them. They're great. But like when I first started speedrunning, like there were no like women on the speedrunning boards at all. There weren't any doing like modding or anything at all. And it just like kind of just bothered me because like it's like one of the few like long running like computer games like designed for women, which obviously like I've been a big fan of Nancy Drew forever, and I'm like, okay, like we need to get like the actual community that I know is like a lot of like women love these games. Yeah. And so I think that people should also be speedrunning it. And it's not just like, oh, speedrunning is just a bunch of like male gamers being the best ever.
Yeah. We just want, because the community at large, like I said, like at the beginning of this episode, a lot of people who play Nancy Drew games don't play other games. There are a lot of people who the only video games that they play are the Nancy Drew games. Which is bonkers to me, but they exist. And I think that is so cool then that Nancy Drew can be an entry to speedrunning at large then for them. Something that they've never heard of before, never seen. They can access it through the Nancy Drew community. Yeah.
Very true.
I think that's fun.
Yeah, and yeah, if you're interested in the Speedathon, definitely join the Speedathon Discord server, because that's where like signups go out, and you don't have to be like affiliated with the Speedathon whatsoever to be in the Discord server.
No.
So feel free to join, and then you will find out like when the next event happens and how to sign up to participate and stuff like that.
That is like, we have our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, but Discord is always going to be the easiest way to find out about signups, about dates, about what cause we're choosing. We actually have had we take suggestions. So if people have a specific charity that they're interested in, you guys can let us know and we can look into them and see if they're a great fit for our next event. So if there's a cause that you're super interested in, you can always like try and join the event and suggest it to us, and we're happy to look into it. It has to get through me first.
Yeah. It has to be on Tiltify, because that's where we like do the donations through.
Yeah. Which is an important...
we have to ensure that it is on the up and up.
that is an important thing to say about the event, is that we don't touch the funds ever. Any money that you guys donate towards the cause goes straight to them. It never touches any of our hands in the middle. It goes through Tiltify and then directly to the charity that we're raising money for. We like to make sure that you guys know that all of the money goes towards the cause. None of us are making any money off of this event. We are, in fact, spending money on it.
We are, yes, in fact, spending lots of money.
Money and time and, lots of people donate their time as mods, donate their time to help us do social media stuff and all of these really fun things.
Creating graphics, stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah. So we really, definitely, it goes straight to them. We also have a lot of really fun giveaways and stuff that we do during runs, so that if, we hit a certain amount in donations for a run, we run a giveaway for it. Obviously,
and the
I'm not going to say...
I was just going to say, you don't have to donate money to be, entered into the giveaway, so...
No, all giveaways are, free to enter. It's just that we hit a donation, amount for the run first before we open it. But definitely it is usually run through MooBot, actually. So if you guys know about MooBot, you know that it's on the up and up, and we can't mess with any of that stuff. It is done out of our hands. So you always know that if you're trying to enter a giveaway, it's always going to be fair and square. Yeah. So, is there anything else we want to say about the Speedathon?
All I can say about the Speedathon is just come and hang out. I mean, we want to hit our donation goals, but it's I think it's a lot more important to me that people are actually excited to see the runs and hang out and chat and actually be a bunch of Nancy Drew fans all at once, because it doesn't happen a lot to have a ton of Nancy Drew fans hanging out. There's a lot of different communities and across the internet. And it's a big fan base, but it also is in a lot of ways a very small fan base.
It is. It's pretty niche is what I would say. It's really fun to have a place where we can all talk at the same time. Because, there's a big community on Tumblr, and Instagram, but none of that's happening at the same time. It's more we're posting letters to each other. So it's just really fun and energizing to have, 60 people in chat all excited to see the game that they're running and telling us all about how they like the game, how they play the game, the first time they played the game, all of these really fun things that we're getting to see while we're running or while we're just behind the show, while we're behind the scenes. That's really, really fun and part of what makes it so exciting. At least for me.
Yeah. But also donate your money. Go in debt for the Speedathon!
Do not go bankrupt for the Speedathon. This is a specific MooBot command we have that says do not go into debt for the Speedathon. Not that it's always right after my payday, and that's just always bad timing.
You're right. The 16th and 17th, usually the 15th or 16th is when people get paid.
Yeah. I mean, But yeah, we're really excited. We want everyone to show up and just hang out with us while we're all playing games. And while you guys hear my beautiful voice in the background for a lot of it as I'm running the Twitch streams. So make sure you come to listen for my dulcet tones. So yeah, is there anything else you want to say about the Speedathon? Or
I don't think so.
Okay, so where can we find you? Anything you want to plug?
Oh boy. I mean, You'll know who I am if you join Speedathon stuff.
That's very
so
true.
We're all good,
Yeah, find us on the Speedathon. So yeah, thank you, Karen, so much for joining me and talking speedrunning in the Speedathon for this special bonus episode. And yeah, as a reminder, I'm Rissa, and this is Karen. And do you want to say the line? We're asking you guys to stay sleuthy.
Oh, no.
No? Wow. Fine. Well, I'm asking you guys to stay sleuthy.